All right, for Algebra 1.2, we are working on order of operations. So the order of operations, I want you to write this down. It used to be more commonly known as PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, but we're going to use a G, and I'll explain why, and then E-M-D-A-S. Okay. The reason we're using a G is because I want you to, instead of it being just parentheses, which is what the P always stood for before, I want you to think of it as we're grouping. So sometimes grouping could be written as parentheses or square brackets or the curly brackets, or also sometimes it's used as fractions. So the things on the top of a fraction are grouped just like the things on the bottom of a fraction are grouped. So because it's grouping, we're going to use a G. So instead of PEMDAS, we're going to do GEMDAS. So the E still stands for exponents, so you would always do that second. So always do your grouping first, exponents second. Third is going to be multiply or divide from left to right. So a quick example, I didn't really think this through, but if it was 4, for example, divided by 2 times 6, if it's in your head that you have to multiply first and then divide, you would get a totally different answer if you came over here and multiplied 12 and then did 4 divided by 12. That would be 1/3, which is wrong. So instead, you're just going left to right. So 4 divided by 2, which is 2, times 6, which is 12, and that is correct. So again, if you have both symbols, don't go multiply first, go left to right. Okay, same thing with add and subtract. If you had 12 minus 8 plus 5, don't come over here and add first just because the A comes before the S. You want to go left to right, whichever one comes first. In this case, the subtract came first. So you would subtract 8 and then add 5. If we were to add 8 plus 5 first and get 13, 12 minus 13 is -1, which is not right. We should have gone left to right. 12 minus 8 is 4, plus 5 is 9. So see how easily you could get the wrong answer just because it's MDAS. M and D have the same level of priority, so go left to right. Add and subtract also have the same level of priority, just go left to right. Okay, so let's try a few of these. 4 plus 9 is grouped, so you're going to do that first, and you're going to get 13. 13 then gets divided by 5 and then gets subtracted 2 because divide comes before subtract. 13 divided by 5 does not come out nice and neat. I'm going to use my calculator, and I want you guys to see that I'm going to go online to Desmos, if I can spell it. There it is. So I'm going to pull up a Desmos Calculator, and this is what I want you guys to use this year. It's what it looks like on your test at the end of the year, your state test. They use the Desmos Calculator, so you might as well get used to it now unless you'd rather use your own handheld one. We're going to type in 13 divided. Watch what happens when I click divide. It goes to a fraction, which is what we've been practicing. So remember, division problems are just fractions. Fractions are division problems. So 13 divided by 5. And then don't go ahead and click -2. If you click minus, it's going to put it right there on the bottom. And we don't want it to just be the denominator 5 minus 2. We want the entire thing to be 5 minus 2. So I'm going to go back. Actually, I'm just going to clear it. 13, I should have clicked back here, divided by 5, and then I'm going to come over here and arrow over to get it off to the side, and then I'm going to -2. And right over here it has my answer, 0.6. So even though that came out to be a decimal, it sometimes does, and that's okay. So 0.6 is my answer there. I would love it if you guys would get used to circling your final answer so it's easier for us to find when we're looking at your work. Number 2, do your grouping first. So 3 plus 2 is grouped. That would be 5. Then you've got a 5 outside of here squished together with no symbol in between, which means multiply. And then you have a divided by 5 as well. So left to right, because multiply and divide have the same level of priority. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Okay. Number 3, this is interesting. 4 squared minus 6 is grouped, so you do that first. but you have a subtraction within an exponent grouped problem. So you're still going to go, okay, it's grouped, but within the grouping, exponents come before subtraction. So we are going to solve the exponent to this first, which 4 squared means 4 times itself twice, so 4 times 4, which is 16. And then we're going to subtract 6 from it, and then we're going to multiply by 8, and then we're going to subtract 5. So 16 minus 6 is 10, times 8 minus 5. Oops, that's a minus 5. 10 times 8 is 80. 80 minus 5 is 75. All right, the last one. This is another one of those problems I was trying to explain up here that could be grouped. So even though there's not parentheses around 12 minus 7, the whole bottom, the whole denominator is grouped. The whole numerator up here is also grouped. So when you solve these, you solve them separately, the bottom and top, and group and pretend like there's parentheses around the whole top and around the whole bottom, the whole numerator and the whole denominator. So you do solve the 4 plus 3 first because it's grouped. That would be 7. But then you have a 7 times 5, which is the whole top numerator answer, so that would be 35. Then you do the bottom as if it is grouped, as if it is parentheses around it. 12 minus 7 is 5. And you can either do this in your Desmos Calculator, or I hope you remember that a fraction is just a division problem. So 35 divided by 5 is 7. Okay, the bottom is a little bit of a new section. All you're doing is now you have variables that represent numbers, and they represent these numbers. So when you see an A, it needs to represent 3. B is equal to 7. C is equal to 5. So we have 4. It's easy. I think I'm just going to write it all out first. Times the quantity, 7 plus AC squished together does not mean 35. It means 3 times 5 with a hidden invisible multiplication symbol in between that. So that is a 3 times 5. And then divide it by 4. Look at all those grouping symbols. Okay, so first go to your parentheses, your grouping, and then you go to the innermost set of groups, which is going to be this, or you go to your multiply before your add, because multiply has a higher level of priority than adding. So we're going to multiply first, 3 times 5, which is 15. I'm just going to kind of fill all of this in. Okay, now let's look at it. 7 plus 15 is grouped, so that is the highest level of priority, so we're going to solve that first, well, next, which is 22. Then we're going to come out here, and because this is multiplied, it's squished up against it with no symbol in between, which means multiply, and this is divide. They have the same level of priority, so we are just going to go left to right. 4 times 22 is 88 divided by 4. So 88 divided by 4 is 22. Or put it in your Desmos calculator and check. Okay, number 6. C squared. C, remember, is 5. So that's saying 5 squared plus B, which is 7, minus B, which is 7, times 2. All right, there's no grouping in this one. There's no parentheses or fractions. So we're going to skip the G, and we're going to go on to E, which is exponents. 5 squared is an exponent. 5 times itself twice. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 7 minus 7 times 2. All right, this has the next highest level of priority because multiply comes before add and subtract. So I'm just going to bring down my 25 plus 7 minus, and I'm going to go ahead and multiply here. 7 times 2 is 14. And now add and subtract have the same level of priority, so I'm just going to go left to right. 25 plus 7 minus 14. 25 plus 7 is 32. Minus 14 is 18. All right. Okay, number 7, the top is grouped, the bottom is grouped. So because it's a fraction, think of it as the top, even though there's no parentheses. Think of it as having a set of parentheses there as it's grouped. and then the bottom is grouped. So you want to solve the grouping first. So on the top, we've got c squared. Remember, c is 5. C is 5, yeah. 5 squared minus 5. On the bottom, in the denominator, you've got 3 squished up against a, which means multiplied by a, which is 3. So 3 times 3 minus 5. Okay, let's solve the numerator first, the top, it doesn't matter. Exponents come before subtract, so 5 squared is 25 minus 5, which is 20. On the bottom, multiply comes before subtraction, so 3 times 3 is 9 minus 5. 9 minus 5 is 4. We're not done because a division problem is a fraction is a division problem. So top divided by bottom, 20 divided by 4 is 5. All right, last one. 10 plus 3 squished up against c, which means multiplied. You can put them in parentheses if you want. They're grouped. They're being multiplied. Minus c, which again is 5, squared. Okay. I put parentheses around here because it's grouped, but technically it wasn't grouped to begin with, so I would still do your exponent first. In this particular case, it's not going to matter. It's not going to change the answer. So I will do 10 plus 3 times 5 minus, I will choose to do the exponent first, which is 25. Then I will come in here and do the multiplication, which has higher priority than adding and subtracting. So 10 plus, that would be 15, 3 times 5 is 15, minus 25, and remember you just go left to right when it's addition and subtraction because they have the same level of priority, so we're just going to go straight across 10 plus 15 minus 25. 10 plus 15 is 25, minus 25 equals 0.